Page 61. This is basically a flow chart which will walk you through the entire process and what's happening. So when we look at it all at one time, it starts to get even more simplified. We place ads, we look for FSBOs, we sign a contract. Basically, the contract we sign is sort of like an option because we've got 3 weeks to act on it. We've got advertised for buyers. We schedule a group showing. We show the homes to all the buyers. We sign contracts. We can sign a backup contract if you want. Okay, we collect a, here's a 1003, but it is just, right now, it's just our credit application. We collect earnest money. We submit the information for qualification to the mortgage company. They qualify through the broker. Back over to the far left. We inform the buyer that you decide to go with the different options that are available. Seller financing, subprime financing. All right. Then when they accept, we accept, let's say, the mortgage financing. Otherwise, we go over here and notify the seller of the new financing, and we notify the seller of the new financing. We then assign the buyer's contract to the seller. This is done back at the title company or your lawyer's office. That's where everything is redrawn, the contract, sellers, everything is replaced. You need a contract for seller and buyers in place, and boom, you're out of there. Completed the invoice, file it at your lawyers or your title company, and then the paperwork is cut or signed and closed, and checks are cut. Page 75. Here's your steps to getting started. First thing you got to do, locate that closing attorney. Determine what the closing costs are in your area. They'll tell you what the costs are. In fact, they'll give you a little card that has a breakdown of your title policy. A lot of times it's 0.5% of the sales price. Maybe it's a point or 1% of the sales price. They'll give you another little matrix sometimes that gives a typical closing cost for lenders and stuff. You can go off that. Have business cards printed. There's some, we have some business cards that you can get within the company, but some of the best cards I've seen are the ones that you guys come up with based upon, some of the stuff, like taking your 5-second commercial and sticking it on the back of a card. The front, John Alexander, real estate investor, phone number. Have these business cards printed, have it printed on good-looking stock because that's impressive. Number 3, visit the professionals and pick up their business cards. Locate the tax office. Number 4, locate the tax office or their internet site. Okay, we have a link, by the way, on part of our website that will lead you to most tax assessor's office internet sites. Once you're there, though, you can go in there and you have access to it. Most places are free, by the way. There's some in Florida, for example, and parts of Texas already. They're charging for it. You can pick up home for sale, newspapers, whatever, and start getting a gauge of what home prices are in the different neighborhoods, subdivisions. Then you establish your mortgage broker source, going through our steps, calling those lenders, getting the AE on the line, finding out who does your purchase mortgage loans in your area. Set up your living trust or your LLC corporation. Number 8, start practicing by calling sellers. That's people out of the paper, for sell by owners, FSBOs. And you can take that attitude that, hey, nothing may come of it, but I need to start talking and learning about my market. There's a good place to do it. Right? Compare your asking price to sold prices on the MLS, the Realtor.com. Do that little research we talked about. Determine where you want to start targeting in your area. Number 10, you place ads to find buyers. We won't do that anymore until we get a house. Number 11, we start the letter campaign. Start the letter campaign. Number 12, we place ads to find motivated sellers. Those were those other ads I mentioned earlier. Bandit signs, anything else you want to come up with as far as finding sellers. Talk to investors, local rehabbers. Go to any kind of real estate investment club. You can find those on the internet. Number 13, Talk to everybody you know and just promote your business. You know you've got such a unique concept here that all your local organizations would love for you to go and speak to them about this concept. And you can do it in a 5-10-minute format or a 15-minute format. Come up with a general outline. A lot of what we just went through, condensed down to 5 minutes. Here's how we can help sellers. Here's how we can help buyers. It's all about that attitude when you're doing public speaking. You're almost doing a public service when you're doing the public speaking. Visit these areas, which are, when you're doing public speaking, you get a lot of exposure. I'm telling you, people come out of the woodwork to start working with you and helping build your business. Chamber of Commerces are great places to go. Real estate, your local real estate, Board of Real Estate puts on all kinds of events that you can go and you can start even learning more about the business and connecting and maybe connecting with real estate agents who you might want to work with, who you might find have a common goal with you. A lot of these are advertised at the local board. You can go there and look on their bulletin board. It tells you what upcoming events they're advertising. In these magazines here, you can see it's just chock full of all kinds of ads. Every mortgage broker in town basically advertises in these things. Title companies advertise in them. Lawyers will advertise in them. Great little sources for finding stuff. And then they will advertise the different things that are coming out. We got speak out forums, we've got special event forums, we've got training courses that they give. There is a Become an Expert Negotiator, the art of negotiation. It is a $50 prepaid 2-day in advance session. It goes about what? I don't know how many hours that is. But what you're going to find there is a lot of real estate agents. And when you suddenly show up at the same events that real estate agents show up at, you get a whole different reception also, first of all, from the real estate agent. You start talking to someone breaks, and before you know it, you're networking, you're working, they've got buyers, they got deals they can't put together, you can, you're in. Soon you're speaking at events. Okay? So just to let you know, that's how you promote. Page 76. It's all about talking and promoting, talking and promoting. There are some opportunities as you get involved in real estate and you see certain transactions and they're put together where you can almost do the inverse purchase, but you can't because we can't do them, okay, under some circumstances. Here's a couple of circumstances. Somebody's losing their home to foreclosure. It's worth $100,000. They owe $60,000 to the bank. Let me change that. I'm going to show you some hard reality here. It's worth $100,000. They owe $110,000 to the bank because they got behind with some taxes. They got behind with some payments. It's been a year or 8 months or whatever. They still haven't foreclosed, but it's been clicking up and it's been adding up. Or somebody went and got one of those 125% loans or something like that. There's a lot of negative stuff. But if you're working the foreclosure market or you know an investor that's working the foreclosure market, they see this stuff all day long. You know, in my city, there's 900 foreclosures up probably this month, just like there was last month and the month before. And here's the common situation. It's $100,000 and they actually owe $100,000 something. All right, well, in California, back some years ago, it's the first time I heard of it. It was coming out of California. It was called a short sale. And what that is all about is the bank knows they're not getting $100,000. They're owed $100,000, but they know they're not getting $110,000. And when they foreclose and take this home back, it's going to be in awful condition. They know they're not going to get $100,000. It could be appraised, but they're not going to get $100,000 for it. And they'll be lucky if they get 80 to 90, even if it's fixed up. And that means they have to put money into it. It comes out of their pocket. There's nobody else in there to put money into it. There's nobody else to come in here and pick up back taxes that are owed on it. That's all coming out of their pocket. So what they do, if an investor approaches them in this pre-foreclosure process, before it goes to foreclosure, the banks are willing to short sell. Starting in California, it has spread across the entire United States. Now every bank will do it. Every bank will do it now. They'll short sell, meaning whatever they're owed, they'll decrease it and even decrease it below this. Oftentimes, you can go to a house, take a few pictures, and you're going to take the god-awful ugly pictures. I've got one guy who will dress up, because of all the mold scare now, they buy the mold uniform, which looks like there's some kind of dreaded disease out. And if you go into the website and do a couple of mold searches, you're going to find this information. They've got kits to discover mold. By the way, there's mold in every house, just to let you know. And then you get a couple of pictures of a guy pointing like this in this mask and this breathing thing, It scares the death out of people. Well, they will drop their price like a rock because they know, oh, gee, I've heard about that mold remediation, and we're talking $200,000 to do that on a $100,000 house. So the price starts to drop. So when you now offer $60,000 or $50,000, they start to seriously say yes. Or they'll work with you until they can negotiate to a point where you'll buy it. And you'll always buy it with 30, 40, 50, 100,000, on the higher homes, $100,000, $150,000 difference short selling from a bank. In California, this is one of the biggest opportunities right now that exists. In fact, nationwide, it's one of the biggest ones that exists, is short selling from the bank. Now, it's a big opportunity for you if you want to jump on it, because now up to this time, we haven't been able to do the inverse. Let me show you why. The bank stipulation, and every one of them is this way. The bank stipulation is, okay, I'll take your stinking lousy offer of $60,000, but the seller's not making a penny off of us. Because if they were, they owe it to us, because we're already way upside down. So they will sell their home for a discounted amount, way under what it really is even valued at, if the seller doesn't take a profit. Now, for us to get paid using the inverse purchase, the seller would have to get this extra money so they can then we can invoice them for it and take it. But the banks won't let them take anything above what they're owed. So there's no way we can use the inverse purchase to get in on a pre-foreclosure where it's been short sold. All right, now you can, not to confuse you, you can do the inverse purchase on a pre-foreclosure as long as you haven't short sold, because we're no longer having to buy it from the bank, we're buying it from the seller, and when the seller can take as much as they want. So one, you still have that option, you can go that way. But it doesn't help if you find this situation where there's no equity. The seller can't sell it to you if they wanted to at this price, because they owe this much. So what you're doing is you're basically getting on the phone with a seller, and you're working as a team against the bank, or with the bank, is whatever you want to look at it. And you're negotiating this price as far down as you can, and the bank will say, okay, I'll take $60,000. At that point, you immediately go out start looking for a buyer to line up, just like we would under the inverse purchase. All right, so all we have to do is find any buyer. And let's say we found this lousy guy who approved at 80% LTV. And let's say we got him 100% CLTV, or we had 5%, or we had somebody we could knock the deal out with. All right, so we've got 80% of our money on the table from the lender. All right, we still can't put this deal together with an inverse purchase. That's where I come in with my special program. This is one that I just developed. I'm going to be marketing it separately. I've decided not to put it into a course format and sell the system for $8,000 to $9,000 because I end up having to be involved in the closing. And I'm only involved in the closing, nothing else, no other part of the deal. So what I do is I'm going to go in as a partner with you on the deal. I'll take 40% of the profit that you build into the deal, however that comes out. You know, if there's no money here, I ain't taking it. All right. So whatever money's there that's on the table, and I'll take that. Seconds, yeah, they ain't gonna pay anyway, so I'm not in for it for the second. So whatever the cash is, I'll take 40%, minimum $8,000. When you're doing short sales with banks, you're never walking away with less than 20,000. 20,000 where is probably the worst deal you can make. I mean, it's the best deal that you would ultimately. That's the worst case scenario you would go to. You should be going for a lot more money because that's exactly what they're doing. They're giving away large amounts of equity. Okay, so that's where we're at on that. So you bring me that deal, and I'm going to take it through my closing attorney, and we'll close that deal out where the bank gets their money. The lender doesn't have a seasoning issue problem. All right? So bring that back through me, and then we'll do that that way. Now, sometimes you can locate an investor quicker than you can do this, because this takes some work to put these deals together. But let me tell you what's going on right now. Somebody will find this deal like this, and they'll go to somebody like Sean and say, Sean, I need $60,000. And then Sean will lend them that money, and then they'll pay the bank off, and then they'll go to work reselling it. And take 2 or 3 months, maybe do some rehab, maybe not, just depends. And then they are going to get stung anyway because they can't get lender financing because of the seasoning issue. So we eliminate all that hassle, all that investment, all that risk by just doing an inverse with a new twist that I came up with for the bank. It's perfectly legal, and we can do it in any state, any 50 states. So if you find another investor who's kind of like put together or already working short sales and traditionally been going through a hard money lender, and that's somebody who lends, of course, at high interest rates and low LTVs, you can now have them come to you and you can work the deal with them, let them go ahead and line up the buyer, line up everything, do all the work, and just let you handle the finance. And the way you handle it is you bring it back to me. We'll cut the other investor in so he's all right, and we'll do some other type of split. So that's another scenario that you can do out there. I know we had the question about the earnest money. Where does that go? Because you do collect a lot of it during the process. And so you're just basically holding on to that money. And that's your control that you have over a buyer during the situation, and prevents them from going anywhere, buying any other property, doing a back room deal with your seller. Just it kills everything. You've got all the control. So at the time that you decide, okay, this is my buyer, now you give all the other earnest money back to everybody else, and you take that one check, and that's the one you turn in when you go to take your invoice. So before you turn that check in, that's one of the reasons you call up the seller. Remember, I've got the earnest money check. Okay, then we show up, we get our invoice signed, and we hand it in then. So everything else goes back to the other buyers that did not qualify. Oh, they're not that far off. They're very similar to that. So yeah, you can work with non-owner occupied. As a general rule, I don't, because that means you are working with an investor. That means they're going to be difficult to work with. Yeah. Oh, for your own personal, yeah. Whole different story. Yeah, in fact, anybody that wants to look into doing non-owner occupied, hey, submit me an application, and I'll take a look at it. Also, just to let you know, anybody wanting to become a loan officer and do your own loans so you can pick up that extra money, hey, you might as well do it. As you can see, those back-end points add up, right? If you're doing 3 points on a $300,000 loan, let's drop that to 2 points even, okay? 2 points on a $400,000 loan, that's $8,000. It's a hefty commission. And if you'll take down my ID number, here's how you can do it. In California, it's very easy. All you have to do is go into this website, pay $125, and you can start writing loans right after that. You can't do it in Illinois, I'm sorry, but we're in about 40 states, but we eventually will be there, so just to let you know. But you can in Missouri, that's right. So you're on that St. Louis side, so you can do it there. Go into this site. It's called www.myinvestors.com. NLC. That's capitalized, but it's not. It's all small caps. Right now it's 125. That gets you in there registered. And there are some states that do require that you have to now go take a test to get a license to be a loan officer in that state. California is not one of them. A lot of states you don't have to. Texas, you do have to have a loan officer license, but they're very easy to get. You study some stuff online, you go take a test locally, and they send you a license. You're up and running. So for most places, it's pretty easy to get license when they do require it. Yeah, then you would be a loan officer under me out of my branch. So I have a branch with NLC, and so I would be your branch manager, and you basically would be submitting loans in to me. I'll provide you with some software that actually knocks out your loan application, which is your 1003. So from your showing, you'll take that loan application that we have them fill out. You'll go home, type into the software, hit a button, and it emails in to this office right behind me. From there, we pull credit, and immediately gets sent out to a bunch of lenders. They go out to a bunch of subprime lenders to get shopped. And those the kind of Concord pre-approval that we saw, and we went over today, that's what comes back off of them. From all these lenders, they start giving us basically offers to buy or to loan on that particular note. And then we get that back to you, and you know what to do. At the same time, you're also going to know what our note purchase is. So you can immediately go back to your buyer, and you're in business. So pretty much that's the general way of getting signed up and put into the system. Oh, thank you. Yeah, you need my ID number. Is a capital A 7526. So if you go into the website here, you'll find a link called Join NLC at the bottom of the page. If you click on that, you can sign up. It's actually not very much of a process. It's just filling out some paperwork, saying yes to this, giving a couple of references, making a payment online, and you're in. And after that, you can go ahead and start taking in loan applications legally. Now the great part of this is, because you're showing this house to so many people, and all these other people that also get approved with varying degrees, 80%, 95%, 85.5, and all kinds of whatever they get approved at. Okay, in your day-to-day activity with real estate agents, you're going to find one that you'll work with. All these other people you got approvals for, you're going to call up this agent and say, got another one for you, got another one for you, go find them a house, go find them a house. And cha-ching, cha-ching, you cash in on the backside. So it's a great system for loan, for being able to create these loan applications like crazy. But have a good agent ready to go place them into a home, and you can make a lot more money. Technically, you could get a house and actually close a loan before you even close on that loan, or several loans before you even close on the house you're trying to buy and sell. I never heard of that. I never heard you say that.
Is that not allowed?
No, it's not allowed. No. You know, in the professional, anytime a person is licensed, they're not allowed to give a referral fee, also known as a kickback, or take one. The only time you can do a referral fee, much like what I can do here, on page 76, I have a 10% finder fee, because we're doing this outside of ourselves being licensed and doing a loan situation or a licensed situation. This will be with somebody else. So basically what happens is, if you're a private investor and somebody like brings you a deal, you can give them a finder's fee. But not if you're licensed, you can't. It's not allowed. It's illegal. Yeah. So you have to give it all back. Okay, but I'll tell you what, it sounds like you've got some good connections already there, so that you can do some legit business now with them, and you know, you'll work back and forth. And that's the whole thing, is that when you start sending these buyers, qualified buyers, to a real estate agent, which is what they live for, what are they going to do when a buyer comes in or a situation comes up that they can see you can fit into? Either way, either as a lender for them, become their mortgage broker, or a potential investment deal, or a foreclosure, or a short sale that they hear about. Also, there are real estate agents that work especially in foreclosure areas. They can become a good source for this type of short sale. So as you gain more and more information in the business, you want to definitely look into that more and more. Until then, you've got a lot of stuff today that will give you that edge that you need in order to go out there and make a lot of money in this business. And I wanted to kind of hit you with a few questions. What does CLTV stand for? Combined loan to value, correct. What would be my discount on a loan amount, face amount, $90,000 loan? 4%? 4% is correct. What's turned into your lawyer or attorney in order to get paid?
The invoice.
The invoice. How many different contracts are actually going to be involved in an inverse purchase situation? You've got two. One between you and the buyer, one between you and the seller. And then the final one is outside of what you're involved in. That's between the buyer and the seller. In a group showing how many people should arrive at the same time? 100 would be nice. 2 minimum. Who does the buyer make the earnest money check out to?
The title company or the attorney.
Right. How much does a buyer? How much buyer closing cost should we negotiate seller to pay?
3%.
Right. 3%, and then they have 1% that they pay for seller closing cost. Do you have to give a copy of an executed contract to the other party after they sign it? So both of you have signed it.
Yes.
Yes, you do. What other disclosure form are you giving the seller at the time that you sign the contract with the seller to buy their property? Right, and that title to that wouldn't be the invoice. This is at the time you're making your offer to the seller. A copy of the contract. There's also a disclosure or notice that you're giving them.
That's that. What we write on there,
What we're earning, right? Yeah, that one is called the investor disclosure notice. Letting them know, hey, I'm an investor, I'm making a profit, I'm reselling it. If it doesn't happen, neither will this deal.
What question was that?
Question? I'm not sure, even if I have it on there. Can you repeat already your 5-second commercial? All right. Okay. Give me that one again.
I buy houses all cash fast and I sell with owner finance.
There's a good commercial. So we're always telling two things in that. We're telling a home seller that we're buying houses for cash, and we're telling buyers that we owner finance buyers who can't get a regular mortgage. So I buy homes for cash, and I resell them with owner financing to buyers who can't get a regular mortgage.